Welcome.
To the joy of coding.
Hello, and welcome to episode 82 of The Joy of Coding. My name's Mike Conley. We're going to be hacking on Firefox today. It's going to be great. We're going to be digging around inside the source code. We're going to be trying to figure out about a test failure, I believe. Let's talk. Let's figure this out. What are we talking about? Well, first of all, let me share my screen. Let's do the preamble. This is my desktop, and I've got this agenda that is for today. Now, a reminder though that even though I have an agenda, I have no idea how this episode's going to turn out. There's no real script here. I'm just kind of like going in. I'm going to try stuff. I'm going to try and address some of these things, but, you know, none of this is scripted, so things could go horribly wrong. I might get distracted, an emergency might pop up, who knows. So you're just along for the ride, and hopefully it goes sort of according to plan, but if it doesn't, that's kind of interesting too. And even though you're along for the ride, you can still communicate with me. I want to remind you that you can talk to me in the live hacking IRC channel. Perhaps you're not familiar with IRC. Well, there's this section in the agenda which is all about IRC and how you can connect. And where is this agenda? Because, like, if you're watching this video, clicking on these blue parts of the video aren't going to be very useful. You really want to get yourself a copy of this agenda. Well, if you scroll down on AirMozilla, you can scroll down to the additional links section. There should be a link to this agenda, and you can follow along as I, go to various things. And I'll be updating the agenda or the notes as like the episode progresses. I might, like, if I end up doing something new, I'll add it to this list, and then it will synchronize. This little thing will start spinning to synchronize, and if you reload the agenda, you should have a fresh copy. So yeah, there's instructions here on how you can get to IRC. Basically, click on this and choose a nickname, and then enter the chat room, wait a couple of seconds, and then you'll be there. I mean, this is a web client called Mibit, which is kind of okay. It will get you where you need to go, and then you can talk to me. I'm M. Conley inside the live hacking channel. So what are we doing today? Well, first of all, self-check, make sure I'm audible. Also make sure that I don't accidentally have the video open, the stream open in another tab. I remember that was an issue a couple of episodes ago. I don't, so that's good. I want to talk about... Oh, there's no episode next week. That's the other thing I want to point out. Next week is... I'm away. So there will be no episode 83, or if it's... or episode 83 might occur the week after. I'm not sure how it's set up. It's possible we'll just skip 83 because all of these like AirMozilla events are numbered and preset. But we'll see how it goes. One of these days, I'm gonna figure out how better to use the numbering scheme in AirMozilla. Anyways, so no episode next week. So what are we doing today? So there's this effort to use. I may have talked about this in the past. We have this select drop-down in Firefox. Let me show you. So let me pump up the font here. If you click on a select drop-down, you get this pop-up that shows you your options, and that's nice. And what's kind of interesting is that in E10S mode, we get this native appearance for the pop-up. In non-E10S mode, so this is a non-E10S window, we get this old school pop-up. It's very strange looking, and it's not native at all, but it's what Gecko and Firefox have had for years and years, probably since the very beginning of Firefox. And we're trying to... One of the problems with this little pop-up is that it's very difficult to style properly. It's difficult to modify it, to extend it, and there are some things we want to do. So for example, there's a project to add a search field at the top of the select dropdown when there are many items, so you can filter down more easily, and that's really hard to do with this old pop-up. So the newer pop-up is much easier to style, but it's also kind of strange to have two different pop-ups between E10S and non-E10S. So the plan was to share the same mechanism for E10S and non-E10S, and that's what some students have been working on, and they've almost got it. They've got this patch up, combine E10S and non-E10S drop-down mechanisms. That's this bug. It's linked in the agenda. Michael and Freddie from MSU are working on this bug. I've given it a bunch of reviews, and it works pretty well, but there's a problem with it. And I found one of the problems, and I fixed it. And there's another problem that I'm hoping to sort out with you today. And what that problem is when we run the tests for the select pop-up in non-ETNS mode, so using the new pop-up but in non-ETNS mode, we have these select pop-up tests, and when I run them, the test times out, and I don't know why. There's like a bunch of tests run and they run successfully, but then there are some subtests that don't run successfully. And so I'm just gonna demonstrate what's going on here. I'm gonna try and run the tests. Here we go. Tests start up. We enter, we start doing some things, but then all of a sudden, the test will just pause somewhere. I think it happens over here, one of the longer ones. Yeah, here. So the test just pauses, and I don't know why. And we need to find out. So let's figure out what is going on here and try and solve it. So whenever I'm debugging a test failure, first I need to know more about what the test is doing. And I know that this test exercises a bunch of different scenarios for the select pop-up. And that's the other thing that's nice about the new ETNS select pop-up, is that it used to be very difficult to test the select pop-up because it was like generated in a very low level part of Gecko, and it wasn't easy to instrument selecting parts of it. Whereas with the new one, it's much easier, which is great. So that new pop-up is good all around. There are still some things to do for it, like supporting option styling. So we want to support some of the option styling that the old one was able to support. Not all of the options, but some of them. Like not all of the style properties, but some of them. And but like the ability to write these tests, like this test that's running, is not possible with the old pop-up. So that's really nice that we can do this. So what is the test doing? Test exercises a bunch of different scenarios with a select pop-up, and one of them has this like test 58. There's a 3, there's a 5 in the select drop-downs. I don't remember what this test is doing, but I know that it tests a bunch of stuff. So the first step in what I like to do is I like to restrict the test down to the minimal number of steps in order to reproduce the failure, because it took me a couple of seconds to get here, and I'll be doing this a lot probably, and if I can do some upfront work to reduce the amount of time to get here, that will save me time overall, is the theory. So let's quit, and I'm also going to bring up the bottom of my VM here so you can see more of it. I think you can see that. Yeah, okay, good. So I've got, let me close all this stuff down. I've got, I'm in my Ubuntu VM here because if I end up needing to debug some stuff, it's handy to be able to like SSH into this VM and GDB debug in there, because I don't have to switch focus sometimes. There's a focus advantage where I can, I think, trick the VM into thinking I haven't shifted focus, even though I have in the host system. So what I want to do is look at this test. So browser-based content test. You read that, right? Let me pump up the font. Yeah, I think that's fine. Test general browser select pop-up. And apparently I've got this open somewhere else. I do. I have this open here. So abort. Abort. Bork. This is what I wanted to look at. So some test in here is failing, and we remember we had that like long list, and that like with 48 or whatever, and then we had 2 other selectors, and I wonder if it's page content small, although I don't know why. I've only got 1 and 2 in here. It could also be this one, first group, 3, second group. Oh no, because this is a single select. So it's probably page content small. Let's take a look, because like there are 3 selects in here. ID1, ID2, and ID3. Hopefully you can read that. And in here there's just 1 select dropdown. So it must be page content small. So let's see which test is using page content small. This test opens a select pop-up and removes the content node of a pop-up, while the pop-up should close if its node is removed. Okay. But there was also like a bunch of like, is this the only one? No, there are several tests, and this one does tests with a large number of options, and that sounds like it's relevant because there were a bunch of options in that first dropdown that I don't see inside page content small. So this test, perform large pop-up tests running inside here, must add a bunch, is my assumption. So let's start by getting rid of all the other tests below and above this one test and seeing if the tests time out. So I'm commenting out all the stuff that says add task except for the setup one, because setup one sets the conditions to make the test work. Test event order. Perform large pop-up test. So we want that. All right, so let's test again. And hopefully this fails. Or it times out and it does it quickly. Quickly as in we get to the timeout quickly. Excuse me. I'm just going to eat a piece of broccoli. So the test runs. Yes, okay, so we have our failure. Great. And we got there pretty quickly. So let's look and see what this test does. Now that we know the subtest that we care about, let's take a look at what it does. So we're testing with a large number of options. We open up a new foreground tab at this data URL that shows the select dropdowns. Then we just run these perform large pop-up tests. So what are the perform large pop-up tests? So the interesting stuff's in here. So we get the selected browser. We add a bunch of select items, or option items, to the select. We select the 60th one, and then we focus. Check if a drag select works and scrolls the list. So, okay, a drag select. So we open the select pop-up here. Check that scrolling does not occur when the mouse is moved over the anchor button, but not the pop-up yet. Okay, I think I understand. We're doing all this like synthesizing. Hide pop-up. So I wonder if it's like, I'm gonna break this test up a little bit. I'm gonna try and get rid of the second half and see if it passes, because I have a feeling it's this one. This open is failing, because that's what we're waiting for. I think we're waiting for it to open, and it's never opening. So let's see if, and the reason I think that is because I can see that the select is focused and we're waiting. And usually when we're waiting in this test, we're waiting for the pop-up to open, because that's asynchronous. So I suspect, my theory is that the test with that second chunk commented out will pass. That appears to be the case. So now we can, hopefully there's nothing in that second chunk that I commented out that depends on the first chunk, and I'm going to comment out that first chunk. And what we're doing is we're breaking down, here, I'm going to need that stuff too. We're breaking down the test even more. So we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. So we need to do all those injections, but we can probably get rid of that stuff. Rect, browser rect. We need browser rect, so that's, where's browser rect? Browser rect was calculated up there. Okay, good. All right, let's just see if this works. I need to get rid of that. Let's see if this, first of all, passes with E10S mode, and if so, that's good, and then make sure it fails in non-E10S mode, and then we can maybe even go further and reduce it. So we're reducing this failing test down to the, like we're getting down to exactly the smallest number of steps in this test to get to the failure. That's the goal. So this should pass. And it does. Great. And then this should fail. While I'm waiting for that to run, I'm going to check up on something else. Ooh, do I have some data? Not yet. Hopefully soon. I'm waiting for some data to come back about tab switch spinners. So this should fail. Interesting, it doesn't fail. So something about the combination of the first and the second. Now I also switched focus. Let me run that again. I did, no. What that, I don't think switching focus would matter because it's a VM and it doesn't think I switched focus. Unless I did something dumb with my mouse when I actually switched focus. So the other hypothesis, so there are two hypotheses for why this is now passing. The first one is because I switched focus and the VM noticed. Or the second one, it's passing. So that eliminates that first hypothesis. So the second hypothesis is more or less confirmed, which is that the first half does something that causes the second half to fail. Or like they're both contributing to this failure. So let me see if I can, I guess let's read through what's happening. Okay, so what does this test do? We inject a bunch of option elements into the select and the content, and then we select the 60th one and then focus the select. We get the pop-up in the parent process, because that's where it is, and we get the browser, the actual browser wrecked. And then we open the select pop-up with mouse down. And then we get the select pop-ups scroll top, and we get the select pop-ups wrecked, bounding wrecked, now it's open. So it shouldn't be, so we're detecting, so because the 60th item is selected, we should be, when we open, we should be scrolled down to that 60th element. And then what we're going to do is we're going to synthesize a mouse move, because we've synthesized a mouse down but not a mouse up. So the test thinks we're clicking on something, in this case the select pop-up, and we haven't let go yet. So we're clicking and holding. Check that scrolling does not occur when the mouse is moved over the anchor button, but not the pop-up yet. So we've clicked and hold, and we're about to drag down. We're dragging up, actually, over the pop-up. Over the anchor, which is the select drop-down. So the first test is I click, and then I drag 10 pixels above the select pop-up, and make sure that we haven't actually scrolled, like, let me give you an example of what's being tested here. Let's copy these options, because I'm starting to understand what's being tested here just by reading the test. So I'm just gonna add a bunch of options here, really sloppy. Just gonna clone all these options. Okay, so we've got this big list, and if we scroll, we want, like, if we click and drag, we want to be able to like scroll the list, because I'm clicking and holding right now, and we want that to scroll. Now if I click and maybe I have one of the lower items selected. If I click and then drag up, it shouldn't scroll until I've crossed into the pop-up box and then scrolled up, like dragged up. That's the difference. I'm dragging up here, but I haven't gone over the pop-up yet. But as soon as I do, and then I drag up, then I start the scrolls. And that's what it's testing. The first thing as we do this, the drag up, having not gone over the pop-up. But then we're going to drag over the pop-up. Pop-up top minus 20, pop-up rect left 20. Oh, so this one right here, synthesize mouse at point, we've moved the mouse to left by 20, top by 10, so we're over the pop-up now, and then we drag up. So this one goes minus 20, mouse move, so we should see that the scroll top, we actually scroll. And then we're going to synthesize a mouse below the pop-up, so we're going pop-up rect bottom plus 20, so it's below the pop-up. We're dragging below the pop-up, and we should see it scroll down. And then releasing the mouse button and moving the mouse does not change the scroll position, so we release the mouse button, but we do so below the pop-up. And that does not, we're making sure that the scroll position hasn't changed. And then we do a mouse move with mouse up. So we're not holding the mouse down anymore. We're making sure that we've like stopped scrolling now that we've released the mouse button. And then the pop-up is still open, so we hit escape and it closes. Okay. So let's first see if we can get rid of the scrolling business, all of this scrolling checks, and see if getting rid of that has anything to do with the failure. Okay, good. I was able to reproduce the timeout just by opening the select pop-up once, closing it after, and then attempting to open it again. Okay. And how are we opening the pop-up? We open it by clicking mouse down. And I think open select pop-up keeps... We've kept the mouse down. Let's mouse up right after. So that we're not clicking and holding. Okay. Okay, so we still don't open it. Now how are we attempting to open it? By using key. So this open select pop-up thing, pop-up is this function that takes a mode as the second argument, and if mode is key, then we synthesize arrow down to open the pop-up. So let's get ourselves in that broken state and then manually hit the arrow down to see if we can open the pop-up. Because if not, well, that's your problem right there. Ah, yeah, okay. So it looks like the cursor keys don't work if the pop-up is closed. And I think I understand the problem now. I added some code recently to fix some of the other bugs that this patch was causing in our tests. So one thing to note is that in E10S mode, if we like cursor up and down, the select here doesn't actually update. But in E10S mode, or non-E10S mode, if I cursor up and down, we do update it. And we're not supposed, like, I don't think we're supposed to. I think that's an old bug where we're not supposed to be updating the select as the user cursors through all of those, but only once they've made a selection. And I fixed that, but I have a feeling I did a sloppy job. And I should, what do I need to do here? I need to, yeah, sorry, I just done this. I need to sheet diff. These are the changes I made. Where if we hit up or down, if should fire dropdown event is the method that checks whether or not we're using like the event to send the message to the parent to open the pop-up. And if that's not true, then we're supposed to like then I think we're supposed to send a message. Then we open up the old one, the old school one. And I think I need to adjust this so that if we're not open, hang on. So Vim form layout forms NSList control frame. I'm going in circles here. Okay, here. I suspect that we're supposed to be entering this, but we shouldn't do that if not. Should fire dropdown event and dropdown is open. If the dropdown is open, we should ignore it. And just a quick check inside NSList control frame, I'm pretty sure is dropped down. Is dropped down or has parent pop up. Is open in parent process. If should fire dropdown event and M combo box frame. Do we have like a, do we have the combo box frame here? M combo box frame. If not, that and M combo box frame is open in parent process. So what that's saying is if we have fired, if we're using the new mechanism and the thing is, the pop-up is open in the parent process, then don't do this. Don't do this step. And I think we want to make that true here as well. Let's try building that. Mock build binaries to build. How's my data going? Ooh, I might have data. Yes, I have data. Excellent. The reason I wanted this data is this is completely unrelated. Got this graph of tab spinner severities. Yeah, that's what I wanted to see. I have this, now I have this sense of how many clients are affected by tab spinners and how affected they are. So what we know is tab switch spinners affect about a little under half of the potential population, the half of the users with Ethernet enabled, and that things got worse right here. That's interesting. That's worth knowing. Things got worse right there. That's also around the time that the number of affected clients dropped. 17th. Number of affected clients went up and then down. But, I mean, that's a huge leap. That's interesting. Worth checking that out. Number of people who started experiencing shorter hangs between, or tab switch spinners between 0 milliseconds and 999 milliseconds jumped by 3%. And that on November 5th, there was a bump here. 5th. The number of people experiencing super long hangs has gone down. That's good. That's still non-zero. Non-zero. I mean, I guess I can't really trust the November 30th data. That was yesterday. Or today, that's today, November 30th. I can't trust it. But November 29th, that was yesterday. Do we have enough data for the 29th yet? 29th. Not really. Not enough samples have come in, so I don't think we can trust it just yet. But the number of affected clients supposedly went down by quite a degree, which is really nice. So that's interesting. I had this bug. Hang on, we're done our build here. Let's go back and try and run this test. Let's see if we fixed it. Going to have a green bean from lunch. It's delicious. I'm very interested in this difference between the 16th and the 17th. There was that big jump here. What happened? Or 16th, 17th. Yeah, a jump of 4%, and then it dropped to 27%, and it dropped to 26%, and then it's up again here. Like, these little jumps are interesting. Note that they correspond to a drop in the other buckets, because what these represent are users slotted into buckets of the worst spinner that they saw. So 1% of users that have ETNS on nightly saw a spinner of 64,000 milliseconds or longer. That's crazy. That's more than a minute. And I suspect we've closed that bug. I'm going to put a marker just like this one in there for that particular bug. But a bunch of users who were seeing longer hangs, that percentage went down from like, we got 5% for that long 5 seconds to 12 seconds from 5% to 4%. and then we went up between the 17th. Between the 17th and the 18th, what happened? 17th and 18th, everybody dropped. 17th, 18th, everybody dropped. But between the 16th and the 17th, everyone went up just a little bit. So understanding this would be interesting because we never recovered from this. I would expect if this was just like a bunch of users no longer seeing a certain type of slow spinner, that these would go down between 16th and 17th, but they go up. They all go up. So more users became affected between these 2 points, which is interesting. I had opened this. How's this test going? Oh, it's waiting for me to focus. It still failed. The test timed out. Let's watch it in action. Let's not get distracted here. Ooh, it is boiling in here. Someone was just in this meeting room, and it is hot. Hot, hot, hot.
Oh, wow, 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 wow.
I mean, it doesn't help that I've got like my laptop creating a huge amount of heat as well. So see, like, there we go. That should be opening the pop-up, not switching the, that's a bug. Like that, we should be opening the pop-up here. Not adjusting the, how does that work? I have to have a better understanding of how open pop-up works. If drop down toggle key, if drop down menu on up down, oh, we might not be entering here when we expect. Drop down menu on up down for OS X is Alt. What are we supposed to do? Maybe that's a good question. Let's open up Firefox here, reference build of the browser. And go to like the select, what was it? Yeah, here. Okay, when I hit, that's interesting. Normally, Command open is what opens it. That's what we had before. Command open opens it as opposed to the down arrow. Command open is what opens. And now, like, in E10S mode, let me shut that down. E10S mode. Focus it. Oh yeah, that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to start shifting it around. So wait, how's this test supposed to be opening the pop-up? Browser base, content test general, browser, select pop-up. Open select pop-up with key. Oh, because it's supposed to be holding the Alt key down. That's why. So we should be entering here. Key is Alt. Is in drop-down mode. Drop-down menu on space. Like that works. Alt open works. What else? Space works. Okay. But for some reason in the test, when we get into that particular state, so this is where we can attach the debugger and try and figure out what's going wrong. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to run the test. I'm actually going to get rid of the changes I just made. If wait, no, do I want those changes? I think we do want those changes because if we are open in the parent, if I think we can just do this, if not is open in the parent process. I think we can just do that. Then we need to figure out why. So I'm going to build binaries and then try and figure out why Alt down is not opening the pop-up after that test. So we'll do that next. While we wait for that build, however, I'm going to find the bug I filed yesterday. Telemetry regression tab. Where did I add that? I guess I'll just ask Bugzilla for my own user report. User changes. Or, you know what, my dashboard will actually show to me. Choose that I filed reported by you. Normalized by, so originally I was seeing this spike right here. A bunch of users all of a sudden were apparently seeing the spinner. But what actually happened is we enabled accessibility support for eTNS, which means a bunch of users got added, which meant that the total number of users increased. And so the total proportion of affected users actually went up because you have a greater likelihood of having users see the eTNS tab switch spinner the more eTNS is enabled for more users. So I've normalized it by the number of eTNS users there are, and that has smoothed out the graph, and that means that this is fine. Normalized by the number of eTNS clients with eTNS enabled, this regression disappears. So my suspicion in comment 1 is correct, and this is invalid. But there is a regression here that I'm going to file. And I also want to put a marker on the 29th, which is when we introduced a fix, this one, the permis spinner fix. So I'm going to add a marker, and I can do that because I control the page that shows the markers. Was it 131 subtle index? So that's this one. I'm just going to add a marker. Date. So it was added on the 29th. Label perma spinner bug fixed. And so now I'm going to add IPYNB and marker for perma spinner fix. So we should see that updated in a second. Just give it a second. In the meantime, how's our build doing down here? We're done. So we're going to run this test, and then I'm going to get ready to debug. I need the IP address of this virtual machine. This one. 242. 242. Mozilla, let's see, Mozilla Central. So I've SSH'd into the virtual machine. And so, whoops, you can't see that. There we go. So now I'm going to, if I hit, yeah, Alt down does not work. So, oh, there it was. It just took a while. Interesting. I wonder if we have a race here. We have a race, maybe? PID 8918, sudo gdb. Whoops. Does work after a while. It just takes a little while. That's interesting. So that to me says that there's a race where maybe we are attempting to handle the event too early, earlier, like the key event is being fired by the test earlier than we were prepared for. So what I'm going to do is attach the debugger before the test runs. So I'm going to make the test not run automatically. So it's process 9930. That's right here. Application PID is 9930. Whoops. There we go. We're attaching. And then I'm going to set a breakpoint. What was it? Key down. So probably set a breakpoint here on line 2151 or 2152 actually, conditioned on whether drop-down menu on up down is true. So list control frame.cpp line. Well, first of all, let's make sure that the lines match up. So 2151. Well, it's not exactly, so I have to get it just a little further. Let's get it drop down menu on space. We'll do it right there, 2160. So break on 2160 if, I think that I can do it this way, if drop down menu on up down equals true. Breakpoint stop only if drop down. Okay, so yeah, now run, and we're gonna run the test. Aha! So we got the event before the pop-up had finished closing. See, we're broken here, and we got this key down and the Alt key. Drop down menu. So what's the key? P key event M key code. What's the key code? It's 40. And what's VK down? PS VK down. Do we have that? Yeah, what's the value of it, yo? 40. So we did get the down, but before the pop-up had finished closing. Got it. That's the bug. Okay, so we can detach because we're gonna key event is down. If drop down, toggle drop down, toggle key. We're gonna do that, and it's already open. Okay, so continue. I've actually toggled it closed, I guess. Okay, so detach, quit. Let's look at the source code of the test. So we hide the select pop-up. We're supposed to be hiding it. Here with the escape key, but maybe we haven't hidden it. Like, maybe our assumption here is wrong. Hide select pop-up, wait for event, pop-up hidden. So we wait for the pop-up hidden event. We hear that the pop-up's hidden. Whoops, whoops. That's interesting. Are we hearing like the wrong pop-up hidden event? Open pop-up. Hide select pop-up. Then open select pop-up with the key. And what's this third argument? Select. Function open select pop-up. Selector. Okay, that's fine. What's interesting is that this synthesize like open select pop-up here. Oh, well, never mind. We're supposed to be hiding the select pop-up. We open it here. And then we hide it. And we expect it to have hidden. So did it open again? Or did it never actually hide? Select content helper, or select parent helper. Toolkit content, toolkit, modules, select parent helper, pop-up hidden. That's when we send the message, we've dismissed you. So that might not be early enough. Like, we might have to hide select pop-up. Function hide select pop up. Yield pop up hidden promise. Like if I do wait for event, pop up hidden. But the message to synthesize the key event should always send after. Something screwy is going on here. Forms dismissed dropdown should come down. Forms dismissed dropdown. And then we uninit. How did we close the pop-up? We do it with escape. Put change, we remove. Then we uninit. Uninit says open in parent process false. And that we're actually open to false. No matter what, we uninit whenever this message is processed. Okay, so let's set up some logging. Dump pop-up hidden. Select content parent saw pop-up hidden. Event. And then how about when we open pop-up? Select parent helper is opening pop-up. And then toolkit content or toolkit modules, select content helper. Show dropdown. Select content helper is requesting parent to open pop-up. And then select content helper is uninitting. And then select content helper received forms dismissed drop down. I find whenever activities are spread out through a bunch of different places, especially in JavaScript, it's easier to just log instead of attempting to step through linearly with the debugger. So I'm going to dump test is opening first pop-up. No, not first pop-up, pop-up for the first time. And then dump test is hiding pop-up for the first time. Dump pop-up should now be hidden. Dump test is showing, is opening pop-up for the second time by key. Okay, so let's run this. Faster. And run the tests. This time I think we can just run it automatically. Just a little sound there for you. Keep you awake in case you were falling asleep. I hope you're not falling asleep. I hope this is interesting. Okay. So we should have our logging. Test is hiding pop-up for the, so let's just exit here. And now scroll up. Let's take a look at our logging. So test is opening pop-up for the first time. Select content pop-up helper is requesting parent to open pop-up. It's opened the pop-up. There's a bunch of this. Test is hiding pop-up for the first time. Select content parent saw pop-up hidden event. Pop-up should now be hidden. And then the content had not yet received the form's dismiss dropdown. Test is opening pop-up for the second time by key. Interesting. There's a delay in the form's dismiss dropdown. We saw the pop-up hidden event. Because we saw the pop-up hidden event, hang on. Because we saw the pop-up hidden event, then we send the async message, dismiss dropdown. But we don't receive this message. Here, add another piece of logging here. Received a toggle key event. Oh, because we're in single process mode. We're in single process mode. So the key event, the message ordering's wrong. That's what's going on. We're in single process. I keep forgetting. Because we're in single process mode, we say, send this message, dismiss dropdown, and then we do a key event. But because we're in the same process, the key event is processed before this dismiss dropdown message is processed. Okay, I understand. Open and parent process is false. So what do we do about that? We really need to wait. We have to adjust the test. The test is running too fast. The test needs to wait. Yeah, the test needs to wait. Until this open and parent process is false. Stop element. Element equals Moz hide dropdown or Moz show dropdown. Yeah, get the element here. Select content helper. Where is that instantiated? New. Just here. Okay. Select we define this select content helper. Select content helper dot open. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I think I can fix this by modifying this function, pop-up hidden. Instead of waiting for pop-up hidden, we're gonna say hide select pop-up. When equals window. Let browser equals win dot gbrowser dot selected browser, and then we're gonna let select content select close promise equals content task spawn browser function or null function C import resource GRE modules select content helper.jsm return content task utils wait for was it content task utils.jsm has this like polling function wait for condition wait for condition select content helper dot open. Wait until that's false. And then we'll yield that instead. Select closed promise. See if that passes. Show me passing. I need some like Price is Right sounds in here. I think I've only got one. Wait. Family Feud's the one where he's like, show me something. I need the ding from Family Feud. That's what I'm going to do next. Yay! Yay! It's working. It worked. So now we're going to run it in E10S mode to make sure that works. It should. And then we're going to re-enable all the tests and run it, and that should work. And then I'm going to file some bugs for the a blocking bug for the issues that I fixed here, and then that will block the patch from landing. I can probably make that R+, but blocked by a couple of other, those patches. Yay, passes. Okay. So now enable all the tests. Let's see, how do I enable? I got commented out a bunch of stuff. Turn it all back on. Turn all this stuff back on. I don't remember if this, I may have copied this. Hang on, I should read this test again. Select browser, select popup.js, because I think I didn't even think, but I just copied and pasted. And so I'm just trying to revert this test release. So it should just do that, then it should do that, and then we shouldn't do it again. Yeah, just do it the one time. Okay. Good. Good. And get rid of this dump. this back on. Get rid of that. I think get rid of this other dump. Okay. Now let's run the whole thing with ETNS enabled. Make sure it passes. Doing good work, people.
It's me, Mario!
Hey! Mario. Come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on, come on. Whoa, something went wrong. Exception thrown. Oh man, syntax error, line 418. Whoops. Leftover block comment line. Come on. So far, so good. Running a bunch of tests. Yes, yes, yes. Passing tests. Good, good, good. Perfect. All right. Now let's do that with disable E10S. So far, so good. Passing, passing, passing. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, I think that worked. I think that worked. Hooray! Hooray, hooray. Okay, so let's polish up these patches, this patch, get rid of all my dump statements, and then file a bug, get this thing put up for try. So, I don't think I need this one anymore. I can probably get rid of that. In fact, I should get rid of that. And then I need to get rid of this printf. Received toggle key event, and then fire on input and on change. I'd put this early return. I'm going to get rid of that temporarily. I'm going to run the tests again for non-E10S mode. Mock build binaries. And while that's going on, we can go back to what we were talking about before, which was this chart that I had pointed out. And this regression right here. Find out. So we need to, I'm curious about the build IDs between these two dates. So I'm going to show you how to find that out. So the two, you probably can't see that there's like a date being displayed right over here. It's pretty small. And unfortunately, I can't bump it up because the graphing library I'm using will adjust to the size of the zoom. Like it will shrink. Here, I'm going to try and increase the font. It like, as soon as I try and zoom, the font increases, but the graphs don't change, which is kind of frustrating. So that's the 17th, or sorry, the 16th, and then the 17th, 16th, 17th. And those are build IDs. So the build on the 16th and the build on the 17th are what we care about. And every time we do one of these nightly builds, because this is just nightly for now, we put it on ftp.mozilla.org/firefox/nightly/a year. And there's a bunch of years in here. We've been doing this for a long time. And 2016 is a directory we have here. That's where the year we were in whenever we saw this. And then the 16th of September will be month 9. That's September. And then the 16th is down here. Now there's like a bunch of directories, and these are the ones for the 16th. And it's not just, we've got Aurora and Central here, because those are the ones that are built every night. And so what we want is not the L10N one, but just the 16th that has no prefix. So 1603, September 16th, and then these other numbers I think are the time. But Mozilla Central, that's what we want. Not Aurora, we want Central. We take a look at that. In this directory is all the information for that build, and there are these text files. Because we only care, like I'm filtering out anything that's not Windows here, predominantly to get rid of noise, because the majority of our nightly users are on Windows actually, or the ones that are seeing the spinners anyways are on Windows. So I'm filtering out everyone that's not Windows for now. And so I'm going to look at the win32.txt file, and it gives me this revision that the build was built from. And that's the SHA for that revision, EDFFF7A9. So that's good. And now I'm going to go back, open a new tab, go back to the 17th, which is where we had this other build, the one where things went sour. And we're going to see if there's anything interesting that landed in between those two builds. So 17, Central right here. And then we're going to look for the win32.txt file. So here's the other here's the other revision. So we want to see all the changes between this revision and this revision inclusive. So we have pushlog, which is an extension that we put onto HGWeb. So if you go here, there's like the from and the to, and you can put in like times and dates and stuff, but you can also put in commit IDs or SHAs, commit SHAs, and get, whoops, nothing in between those two. What? 16th, 17th, ED. What? There's nothing in between? What? EDFFF7. Oh. Oh. I need to go by like from change. From change. Oh, that's so weird. You can use from change and to change in the URL. I don't know why it doesn't just accept that in that text input. But from change and then to change. That's a bug I should file for sure. To change. Here we go. This is the stuff. So what happened in here? Well, there were some backouts. Modal highlighting was made nightly only. But before then, it was already on, so I mean, that shouldn't have changed nightly. Here something about flex. This is OSX stuff, it's not important. Some tests got re-enabled. Got removed some pocket stuff. Implement sync validator for forms. We updated pdf.js. React component. Call mark change for getting bitmap for service and ski. There's some graphics stuff. Don't start incremental GCs if they have been disabled. Profile lock. Test for profile lock. Some Android stuff. Updated NSS. A11Y support. Profiler thing. Shortened tab opening and closing animation to 100 milliseconds. I don't think that should have affected it. Because the transition end shouldn't impact tab browser. Handle new tab. Tab. No, that shouldn't have anything to do with it. Very interesting. I thought maybe something would jump out, but nothing does. Well, I'll file it anyways before this episode's done, and we'll try and figure it out. Okay, so what was I doing in here? I wanted to run the tests again. I'd gotten rid of that early return inside of fire on input and change events, but I think I'm preempting. I think I think another thing I'd done actually fixed that, so it might be okay now. And how we doing? Hey, good, good, good. So we can get rid of that condition, that useless condition inside list control frame. So get rid of that. And then our commit ends up looking like this. I would change the test. I'm going to get rid of that new line I've added there. Get rid of the new line we added there. And that's it. That actually looks pretty solid. So browser select pop-up is where one of the new lines was added. Online near 431. Right here. And then I think I added one at the end of the file. But you know what? We actually like new lines at the end of the file. So I'm going to keep that. Keep that change. Okay. So this commit said bug 1300784. Or I haven't got a bug number for it yet, so I'm going to put question marks. But the commit message is in single process mode. Don't change selection with cursors if pop-up is opened in the parent. Also, what are we doing? Actually, you know what I should do? I should have two commits here. So I'm going to put a little shortcut there. I'm going to commit the test and have a different commit for the test. So hg commit layout forms and list control frame. We're going to do that one. Have n review that one. And then for the test, we'll have n review it too, but it's slightly different. Bug make browser select pop-up. Wait for content process to content to think that the pop-up in the parent has closed before proceeding. Closed when hiding pop-ups. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rebase these changes on top of central and make sure the tests still pass. So rebase, because I'm hoping we can land them first. 367, yeah, 367037 to tip, destination central, destination central. Then I'm going to file, completely separately, I'm going to file this new bug. clone this bug. Spitters between, what were the two dates? September 16th and September 17th. It's between September 16th and September 17th. Went from how much to how much? If you're interested in checking these graphs out, I've put a link. I'm going to put a link to them in Cool Graphs. I've put a link to them inside the agenda. Oh, and if I refresh this, we should have our marker. No? No marker? I thought I pushed the change at didn't I push a change? Oh, I'm CC'd into the... Yeah, here we go. Everything up to date. Status. Oh, I didn't... Get. It. Commit. Actually add perma spinner fix marker. Okay. Now refresh this. See if it's updated. Not yet. Soon, though, we'll have a marker right here. Force reload, force reload. Alright, well, we'll check in a bit. So, yeah, I was filing a bug between the 16th and 17th, and we went from one to another. We went from here, we went from 24% to 28%. Here's the change set I linked to. Nothing stands out to me, I'm afraid. Well, okay, get rid of this and I'm also going to take a screenshot of okay. Now attach the screenshot. Where today I should have just created a screenshot. Where is it? No date. Today added to this one. Okay. Okay, good. Screenshot of graph. Has our page been updated yet? Whoops! It put it here. That's not the right date. October. No. I got the wrong date. it should be November 29th, not October. Get status, get add index, get commit. Whoops, put the right date on the perma spinner fix marker. Show origin master. That fix landed right here. So we should see a dip. Now the number of probes that have come in, I don't know if that's enough yet to make a claim. I think I said that already. But like, I'm hoping that we're going to see a nice smooth drop off right around here over the next couple of days. That's my wish, that we're going to drop from the 40s, the low 40s to the high 30s in terms of number of affected users. Whoops. Okay, so that's done. I've got those two commits now merged. Now I'm going to build again, do a full build. What else can we, well, let me reload this and see if the, yeah, all right, so the marker's been updated, so that's good. So we should see hopefully a drop off there over the next couple of days, but I wonder if there's anything else useful in here. Useful point, like there was, this is that increase that the perma spinner increase that I should actually add a marker for that. I'm going to add a marker for that as well. Date, new date, 2016, November, it was November the 6th. GPU process introduces perma spinner. I shouldn't say introduces, exacerbates. I don't think I'm spelling that right. Exacerbate. Alright, I'll just use a better word. Aggravates perma spinner bug. Add marker for when perma spinner bug was aggravated. Is it aggravated? Aggravated. Get push origin master. So we should see a marker added here. And then there were some other things that landed that were interesting, like but I'll get to it. I'll get to it. I want to add markers for a bunch of stuff. Here we go. GPU process aggravates. Ah, it doesn't have, I got the spelling wrong. What? Aggravates, I thought I said. Aggravates. I didn't save it. Get add index, get better spelling. Well, you get what I'm saying. Okay. So then we see that little bump here, like if I don't know if I can't zoom it in. Wish I could. There's a bump there. A bunch of users go from this pocket of users to down here, and yeah, things get worse. I'm hoping things are about to get better. Fingers crossed. 0.27 is where, what's the lowest we've been at? 0.22 over here, but that's because these were a lot higher. But then also because of that regression there. Yeah, what happened here? Between the 17th and the 18th, things got a lot better here. That might be worth checking out as well. Okay, so the rebuild is done. Let's run those tests. But only in E10S mode, because I don't have those commits that make it work in non-eTNS mode. And then I'll file a bug to get those things landed. File a bug. Form controls. Make NS list control frame behave the same. Don't change select update NS list control frame in preparation for combining eTNS and non-eTNS select drop-down mechanisms, and this will block that combining bug. Bug such and such combines the eTNS and non-eTNS select drop-down mechanisms. That's good. We're going to have a single code path there. However, NS list control frame needs to be adjusted somewhat, as do our select tests. The following changes are necessary. In order to not to have the same behavior when hitting the up and down cursors while the pop-up is open, I've disabled I disable changing the select value if using the parent process pop-up in single process mode. Change the select while cursoring. This was not necessary in eTNS mode because the menu pop-up was consuming. Why is that? Because the menu pop-up content select. Was parent process wasn't dispatching the key events to the content process with the pop-up open. 2, in single process mode, the guarantees we have about because events are UI events are not processed, are not serialized and sent over IPC, which means we can't rely on the message ordering invariant. Messages arrive in order. This means that the message to tell select content helper that the pop-up has closed could be sent by, that means that the form dismissed, was it form dismissed? Select parent helper. Forms dismissed drop-down message that select parent helper is sent, can be sent, and then a key event can be sent to content, but the key event will be processed, will be handled before the message. This is as opposed to ETNS mode, where the forms dismissed drop down will be received, and then the serialized key event will be handled. This meant that one of our tests would erroneously think that the content this meant that one of our tests would time out because the content and parent would be out of sync regarding whether or not the pop-up was open in the open state. Now, submit, and then I will get a bug number, put these up for review, and then I think we're going to be done for the day. 367039. Bug, what's the bug number? That one, 1321376. Yeah. Don't change those. This, well, because in single process mode, key events might be handled before messages. Hopefully that's explanatory enough. Push R 367041 tip to review. And then I think I can R plus this patch. Figured it out. C bug. Can we drop that? I'll take a look at the patch that I just put up. Okay, and now rebase that on top and push it to try. Oops, copy to clipboard, paste. Get rid of the white space, and then push to try. Whoops, don't open Thunderbird. Didn't mean to do that. Yes, I'm okay with that. I need to update my known hosts. Very interested in this tab switch graph and like the tab spinners graph, and I spelled aggravates correctly, right? Yes. Okay, good. Is there anything else worth paying attention to in here? There is this like drop. Oh, well, that's because a bunch of this goes up down here. Maybe I should be paying attention to this. Overall number of people affected. 43%, 43% floats around 43%. Then we're up to 44, 45, 43, 42, 43%, 43%, and then down to 38 on the 29th. Hopefully we're sticking to 38. We might be the lowest we've ever been, minus these little anomalies. These look like little telemetry anomalies. Maybe, our collection screwed up. And those are probably outliers that I'm hoping we stay down here in the 38% zone. That'd be really nice. The number of our users that are experiencing spinners will have gone way down. We'll know tomorrow when we have more data. Okay, so I think those patches are up for review. I've pushed to try. I think that's all I wanted to do today during this episode. Hey, that was pretty effective. So help fix up solved, I think. Patches pushed to try here, and then I'll link to try. Where's my try build? Here's a link to the try build. Cool graphs. We looked at some graphs. Filed a new bug. We filed. What was that? This one? No. Filed. Closed invalid. This one. And then Ethernet tab throw was spinning forever after detaching the tab. Didn't get there, but I'll look at that later today. And then this one, native stacks. All right, so that's it. That was episode 82, folks. I hope that was reasonably enjoyable for you. Again, a reminder, there is no episode next week. So take that time to just kind of maybe watch a rerun, or maybe check out some of the links I have in here. There are some other people who are live hacking. You might want to check out some of the stuff they're up to. You might also want to check out, the R Watch People Code is a great subreddit. There's a bunch of people in here. I post in here, and there are a bunch of people doing interesting things in here. You might want to check that out. People are building stuff. There are recordings. It's pretty great. Okay, so thanks again for watching episode 82. I will see you the week after next. And then there will probably be a couple of episodes that we miss in amongst the holidays, the winter holidays. So I'll keep you posted on how that works. Thanks again for watching. Let me switch to here. And I will see you in 2 weeks, the week after next. Take care. Bye-bye.
The joy of coding.
Bye.